art folks, it's Sadie, and today I'm bringing you another pigment spotlight. Today I'm talking about a color I really didn't expect to be talking about. It is pink pipestone. So this is a color that when I first heard of it, I had never heard of it before until just a month ago. And when I saw it, I really thought that it was really similar to Potter's Pink. And I was really excited because, as you guys know, I really like Potter's Pink. It's just like such a nice, dusty, granulating pink, and this really looks similar. And it is similar in some ways, and it's not similar in some ways. So basically, I went from not knowing anything about this color to having 3 different examples of it. And as you can see, the 3 different examples are pretty similar. I have the first example on this swatch is from Stoneworks Mill. Then I have one from Rivervale Arts, and the last one is for Case for Making. And then underneath it, I'm swatching 2 different versions of Potter's Pink, one from Rivervale Arts and one from Daniel Smith, which are both pretty similar, but I think actually the one from Rivervale is a bit smoother. So when you look at these 2, you can really see the difference. Potter's Pink is a much pinker, much cooler pink than Pink Pipestone. Pink Pipestone is much warmer, peachier actually. Seems a lot closer to a sort of reddish light skin tone. They are both granulating, but the Pink Pipestone's granulation is really different in that, at least in these 3 different versions, there are actually just heavy, dark granules that are part of the paint. In each of them, you can actually feel these granules when you put your finger on the page, which is not the case with the Potter's Pink. There is also a Daniel Smith, Minnesota Pipestone, and I don't know if that one is also as rocky as these 3 handmade paint versions. Just to show you a little bit how it mixes, I took the Case for Making version of the Pink Pipestone and I mixed it with other Case for Making colors, including their yellow ochre and their ultramarine light and their carmine nicorette, which is a really gorgeous color. I really love the way that the Pink Pipestone and the carmine mix. It makes this really beautiful and cute range of pinks. And when it mixes with the yellow ochre, you get a range of oranges to browns, which is really natural. A little bit of the pipestone in the ultramarine kind of grays it out and makes this kind of dusty purple, which is really nice and subtle. And also everything ends up getting a bit of that texture from the black flecks. So they all end up being a little rough also to touch. Just like the Potter's Pink, it's not like one of those colors that's going to punch you in your face. It's very subtle and very gentle. So because I thought it was a much more natural color, I wanted to try the color out on some body sketches. And the first sketch that I attempted was this hand painting, just to try to get a feel of how everything worked. Both of these paintings were done entirely with Case for Making paints. And I really think that this color is absolutely gorgeous for adding some texture into the skin. I used it a lot more here than I normally would in a painting, and I think because it lifts really easily, just like the Potter's Pink, it was a bit too much for me in this painting. But like as a detail or used a bit more sparingly, I'm really pleased with it. For example, the fleshy part of the hand, how that looks with the light hitting it, and then the pink pipestone, I absolutely adore that. By the way, the background is their limited edition Payne's Gray mixed with indigo, and I just love the way those colors blended together. So I decided to do another sketch of just a simple eye that's about like half closed, and I was really happy with how the color worked here. You can really see that it gives this kind of dreamy, fleshy effect, and I really watered it down and used the layers really thinly, and I think that helped me a lot with not having issues with lifting and things like that. Also, I'm using for the first time fluid watercolor paper, which so far is pretty great. I need to do some more testing, but it just feels like the way that a premium watercolor paper should feel, and I'm pretty impressed. So I was able to layer to build up intensity, but it doesn't really build up a lot. Just like the Potter's Pink, you can only get to a certain level and that's about it, and then you have to use other colors to increase the intensity of this color. But I think that it gave a quality to this eye that I wouldn't have gotten otherwise. Normally, I don't really like granulation in my portraits, but here I feel like it just gave the eye a bit of dustiness that's kind of almost like it's just waking up, and you know, you have a little bit of sleep in your eye. So I thought that was a nice effect. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about pink pipestone. It's also called catlinite, and it's often found in Minnesota, Dakota, and Canada. The reason why it's called pipestone is because it was actually used to make pipes called calumets, which are ceremonial pipes that some native communities used. The clay is very soft and easy to carve. It was a good material to make these pipes out of, and these pipes were also sacred. There are many different native peoples who have different stories about why pipestone is sacred. But, for example, the Sioux story is that Unkechi, a monster, wanted to flood the world, and they managed to do that, and everything was flooded except for the hill where the pipestone quarry was. And so all of the people tried to climb up on top of this hill in order to save themselves, but that didn't work because they were also covered in water and stones fell on them and they died. All except for one girl who was saved by the big eagle Juan Bile Galeshka, and that is apparently the story of how the Lakota people began. So the pipestone is supposed to be pink because of the blood of the peoples who died attempting to save themselves from this flood. So there are other stories about why pipestone is sacred, but they also seem to include the blood of people, including one story in which man is actually originally shaped out of this specific clay, which makes sense because, like I said, it seems very much like a flesh sort of clay. I think it's really interesting and important to know the background and the meaning behind our materials, and it's something that you can think about when you're painting. So pink pipestone is a brand new color to me, but I think I definitely have to do more experiments with this color to see how I feel about it. It doesn't fulfill the exact same purpose as Potter's pink, but it has some interesting effects which I think I can learn to figure out how to use the best. Have you guys ever used this color? Do you know about this color? What's your favorite version of this color? What do you think about the story about pipestone and why it's sacred? By the way, I really enjoyed using the case for making paints on this second painting. Putting in the eye wet and wet was so much fun, and the colors, they definitely have a different flow than I'm used to, but the colors are really fun and work together well. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that was interesting. If you have any questions or comments, let me know in the comments below. By the way, thank you so much for my patrons again. You already know you're the real MVPs. By the way, guys, happy holidays, whatever it is that you celebrate. I hope that you are having a good time. And while you're experiencing this time, I know that it can be stressful, so it is even more important for me to say, be gentle with yourself. Bye.